Hi there. Welcome to Life Between Coasts, the podcast where we dive into our personal journeys connected through synchronicity. So grab your coffee, light a candle, and let's begin. I'm your host, Leah, and we're glad you're here. Today, we are sitting down with Wyatt. So welcome, Wyatt. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's been a really good day.
Yeah. Excellent. So let us learn about you. Where'd you come from?
Actually, I grew up just down the street here, right here in Ypsilanti, literally less than a block away.
Okay.
Yeah, I come from my family. This is our third generation, born and raised in Ypsi.
Really?
Yeah. The firehouse station just down the street. My grandfather was a firefighter in there, and there's pictures of him all over the place in there.
Wow.
So, deep roots to this town. Yeah. But other than where I came from, like I'm an actor, massage therapist, martial arts instructor, and I've had quite a journey. So I don't know.
Where do you want to begin then? So what do you want to talk about most?
That is a good question. I was thinking about it all day, and I mean, if you're talking about connections and human connection stuff, like I have been on a real journey of both self-discovery, but how to be my most authentic self, you know? And being an actor pretending to be someone else has helped me become my most authentic self in an interesting way. So,
well, you have to find yourself.
You do. And that was, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations so you can grow and so you can learn what that self is,
right?
You know? And one I said the other day is like the great thing about, being on that journey to find yourself is you find a lot of wonderful people on the way.
Right.
And they help kind of show you to yourself for better or for worse,
yeah.
And, that's the thing I love about acting is like, it's this community creative experience, you're collaborating with a bunch of people.
Right.
It's not like so much painting or music. Yes, somewhat kind of the same, but, you have these battles of ideas and egos and like people want to take things this way and I have this idea and then sometimes, but it's also ultimately like the director's idea to put that all together.
Right.
But you do have to learn how to like navigate that. And the more I learn about the things I'm working on with acting, and I've been studying stage combat for the last 4 years.
Wow.
Like I said, I've been a student. Oh, go ahead.
No, just curious, just about the stage combat. Because it has to be somewhat real to be fake, to be able to be. So how do you? What's the line there? Just out of curiosity.
It's a lot less real than you'd think sometimes.
Okay.
And sometimes, here we're sitting in front of a couple cameras. I only have to be able to lie to one camera. We're not in a room full of people. So if I do it at the right angle and then later they add the sound effect and you react at the right time.
Okay.
I can be miles away from you.
Okay.
And it's like, so learning that sleight of hand also of it has been really
fun. So it's like a kind of a magician.
It is a little bit of a magic trick, and it's learning how to tell a story with your body and communicating and with your partner and expressing that and finding that boundary, of like, oh, that was a little too real. And that too is like, it's funny. I started about 2 years ago, I started doing therapy as well. And there's so many times I was sitting with my therapist and she'd bring up something. I'd be like, oh, I was talking about that in fight class the other day. And she'd be like, where's the overlay there? But, swinging swords around people's heads, you have to be able to communicate and, express those boundaries. And I was just talking about this the other day. One that I keep coming back to is this. It's called like the growth discomfort curve, where, you have to be a little bit outside of your comfort zone for growth. And whether that's working out, whether that's stretching, whether that's creating art, all that happens outside the comfort zone. But if you push too far, next thing you know, you're injured, you're traumatized, you can't continue on that. So it's been a really fascinating process of learning that both in myself and in other people, and has made me better at understanding and navigating the whole way. Yeah.
No, very interesting. So you do martial arts, you said?
Mm-hmm.
The acting.
And I'm a massage therapist.
And massage therapy.
Yeah.
Tell me about your massage therapy.
Well, that started, like, it's always been kind of part of my life.
Okay.
My mother dealt with health issues when I was younger. She battled cancer multiple times.
Okay.
She's actually currently battling it for her sixth time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But she's kicking its ass.
Okay.
Doing amazing.
Excellent.
And that she's always just kept such a positive attitude.
I think that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Attitude is everything.
And then, and even if it doesn't work out, we only have this much time left.
Right.
Like, may as well wring as much out of it as you can.
Yes.
But so, like, when I was a kid, I gave her a lot of back rubs and foot rubs and stuff like that. And then when I was a teenager, I had a bad shoulder, so did my dad. We were always rubbing each other's shoulders. And then getting into martial arts, learning a lot about the stretching, like, I liked the martial arts, but I also was introduced to, like, the Eastern philosophy early. Actually, like, since my mom was sick, like, I was asking big questions when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, the normal, I, like, grew up right by that church just down the street. And, like, they were just telling me, all right, trust in God, pray, it's all going to be okay. And I'm like, that's not enough. How do I deal with this?
Right.
And stumbling into meditation, Eastern philosophy, all that. That's, I know we're talking massage, but all of this kind of
no, but it does. It does.
Well,
it's a whole body. So it's not just the touch or the muscle. It's everything is connected, just like humans. We're all connected. So it's just everything in the body is connected. So your energy, your spirit, your mind, your everything.
Well, and then I like when I'm working on a client, they're like, oh, actor, massage therapist, martial arts, those don't match. And I'm like, it's all enjoying this body while I have it.
Yes.
Being able to take care of it and have fun with it and, like, tell stories with it and, heal not just myself and entertain myself, but other people.
Right.
And they have that connection.
Right.
And, like, all of those have been part of the same thing.
Absolutely.
One I keep going back to is a very distinct moment in my life. About, like, 12 or 13, I was hanging out with some of my guy friends, and they had a bunch of car magazines, and they're looking at all those. And I had my martial arts magazine. And they're like, well, don't you care about cars? And I'm like, yeah, they're cool. Like, I like the color of that one. I want a fast one. Like, hence the green Mustang sitting out.
I know. I saw that.
Yeah. But at the same time, I was like, but I can always get a new car.
Yes.
If I crash that car, I can get another one. And this was like 12, 13. I mean, having my mom struggle with her health and having an elderly family die. Like, I was aware of my mortality very early. So I was like, I don't think I get another one of these. And if I do, cool. But for right now, I'm going to act like I don't, And so I wanted to be in it as long as I can,
Be present, be engaged with life, live your life to the fullest. I'm in the same boat. As many of my listeners know, my brother passed when I was 4. He was 7.
Wow.
My mom when I was 25. She was 51. My dad just recently. I was 45. He was 71. So, so that left me my sole survivor. No kids, no anything. So standing, so my name stops with me and everything. So I always think of that. How am I going to make this name survive? So part of that stems into the podcast. It's leaving my mark.
Really, yeah. I've been meditating on that exact thing too. And, like, when I started also, like, my therapy journey, I was like, I've studied philosophy, all my life and stuff. But, memento mori, like, remember you're going to die someday. But then also, like, that, like, I want to be remembered, but it's like, I'm not going to care that.
No.
And I think the best way I can make any impact in the future is by being present now.
Yes.
And being as loving and caring as I can now, and hopefully
and help people.
Yeah.
And up in general as you hope that.
But
absolutely. No, I agree with that one.
At the same time, though, I want to be able to punch someone in the face when they deserve it. So that's the march feet.
Yeah. Oh, I could understand that. There's a few times that I've felt that, and believe me, it's Yeah.
But no, outside of like middle school, I've never really actually had to use it. More often than not, the self-awareness and the presence and the situational awareness is done more to get me out of trouble than having to like, oh, I'm actually...
Well, martial arts isn't necessarily it teaches you how to successfully fight, but it also teaches you how to maintain grounding and control of yourself.
Yeah.
And so it says, or at a last resort, use force, so that's the idea, is because it's supposed to be very much more into the meditation or the calm, keeping that calm center. So you're responding and not reacting necessarily.
And I was always, like I said, more interested in that philosophy thing. Although, real talk, like what got me is I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle or as a kid, and that dream never died.
Which one?
Michelangelo.
Okay.
Orange.
Sure, definitely.
That's even I played the Orange Ranger. So that was like my inner child was like, yes. It was like a really cool moment.
Ranger, and we're talking Power Ranger.
Yes, when I was doing the Power Rangers fan film. Yeah. So
what other films have you done?
So mostly like a lot of indie stuff. Was it 2 summers ago now? I released a movie I was working on for about 4 years called Boxes.
Okay.
Or The Next Life of Brian.
Okay.
Where the thing I love about it's like all the characters were named either Brian or Brianna. And it was these interesting, like, interconnected stories.
Okay.
But it's this weird psychedelic horror sci-fi movie, but about like all these boxes that lead to like, different interconnecting stories, but separate universes. And
okay.
It was weird. It was a weird movie. It took us a long time to do it, but I became one of my best friends with like the director, became one of my best friends.
Right.
We still continue to work together.
Okay.
Really proud of that work. We're still trying to get it out and for people to see it, but I'm really proud of that. I just did some stunt work for a film out in Detroit, Cast 2. It's kind of like this John Wick style martial arts thing.
Okay.
My instructor at Theatrica Gladiatoria, shout out to Joe and Jen, love you guys. But they were doing the fights and the choreography for it, and they brought me on to like help train the cast.
Yes.
And so I just appeared for a split second, but I got to get shot in the head, and so that was cool.
Things to look forward to.
Yeah.
Because those you can survive, right? When you're on film.
No, it's been cool. Sometimes, like, one of the first fights I choreographed with, like, one of my best friends, he gets me down and he's just, like, ground and pounding. And every time I watch, I'm like, yo, that dude's getting, and I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, yeah. Like, I almost have that, like, separation for a second.
Right.
But,
so how do you do that? So being an actor, so how do you separate yourself from characters? I mean, because there are some actors that you read about that specifically go into that character and only will be that character, the method, dad, things like that, whatever they talk.
And it was like, I used to be a little like that. I'm a little obsessive sometimes, but I've always been more of a character actor, and I try to make that person as real as I can.
Okay.
And part of that, a lot of times I'm just like, okay, how or what would happen in my life that would make me act that way?
Right.
Or how do I relate to that person? And in a lot of ways, like, I tend to pick characters that I do relate to, but maybe even like not exactly.
Right.
But once I find that and kind of like feel that realness of that character, like, learning the lines becomes easy then, because it's like, oh, I'm just reacting to what I heard, and how would I say, like, what would I say if I heard that, and in the context of that scene, it's there. But all the characters I've ever played still kind of live inside of me.
Okay.
And it's been part of like, how do I express and understand myself in this? It's hard to really put into words sometimes.
Well, what's been your favorite type of character or favorite character to have played then?
So there's a difference between, like, I did a lot more theater than I did film for a long time, and I always kind of joked I was getting a little typecast in a very weird way.
Okay.
But like, and there was also kind of like things I looked for.
Okay.
Like, was I playing a crazy person? Loved that.
Mm-hmm.
Or a lot of times I'd play an overconfident, egotistical actor, which was a real stretch for me. I wanted to work my chops on that one.
Okay.
Or I love playing, I'm a very physical actor, so I like playing more than one part at once, or someone pretending to be somebody else. Like one of my favorite roles, I played like this really kooky, crazy guy who thought he was on like being hunted for like murder or something from a crazy night getting drunk.
Okay.
So he reappears as this suave, debonair, long lost twin brother with an eye patch.
Okay.
Hilarity ensues. But I got to like two different physicalities, and how do I bring that into my body? And like you asked, is it more method or is it character acting? Now the stage combat has also helped with like, now you don't always like, I don't want to sit there and traumatize myself and think about my dead dog to make me cry.
Right.
Because it's gonna, and then I'm going to think about it later too. I still think about what happens all the time.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I could sit here, I could look at you, I could change my breathing and my pace of my talking, and you feel that, you feel that just as innately as you did if I had like worked up a tear.
Mm-hmm.
And so that way it becomes breathing choreography. It becomes understanding like, what do I do in those moments? Okay, how do I choreograph those motions? How do I show that to you?
Right.
So and even that, it's a total like constant experiment, change. What I think might work for me, the director might hate. It might not be what they want at the time. I might think sometimes I'm doing it great, and then I look at camera and I'm like, oh my God. And that was one I had to learn too, was coming from theater where you're big and boisterous and you're playing for grandma in the back, to like now being on film and I'm reacting to everything you say, and it makes me go, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. No, it's like,
no, that's hard because I bounce my head a lot sometimes. Just sit here and thank God for little cuts just to keep cameras on who they're talking to make me not look like. So, I mean, that's Alexis to make sure that I don't look like I'm bouncing my head. It's just, it is what it is. But it's interesting. Now let's go back to young Wyatt for a moment. So young Wyatt grows up in Ypsilanti. How does he get into acting? How did you? What was your path? What did you start with?
So again, like a lot of it comes down to my mother's health. I had a little sister who, like, my mom was first diagnosed when I was 9 and she was 4.
Okay.
She couldn't work. My dad was working a lot, so it came down to me to watch my little sister. And that led to a lot of puppet shows and a lot of like goofy fun times of her and I playing.
Right.
And and also like doing little things to entertain my mother to make her feel better. Same, the massage too, and like, so as growing from that, and I was always just goofy kid, wanted the attention. So I think I started doing theater like in elementary school.
Okay.
And did that all through college or high school, through college, did paid acting work straight out of it, and then fell out of it for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like tried to have a normal girlfriend and work the normal 9 to 5. And I was like, yeah, that was a fun thing. But I always really was like, man, I really miss that. I always said I was going to be an actor, and I was just kind of like, around my 30th birthday, it rolled around and I was just like, either you're going to do this or you shut up about it. Like, those are your two options.
Right.
And the first thing I did, like, I kind of like worked on a monologue, but then I went and auditioned for a real big show in Ann Arbor. It was paid, and they're probably going to like hit multiple cities. Way out of my league for not having done it for a decade. But I'm like, let me go out here, do my best, which was not good enough at all. Like, it was, I look back to it, it was horrible. And they gave me like the, don't call us, we'll call you. And I was like, you're not going to do that. And they're like, no. And I was like, hey, totally cool. And I walked out of there like, I survived that. I could be told no.
Yeah.
I failed, and I'm still here.
And it's okay.
Yeah, and it's okay.
No is not the worst answer.
Exactly.
It's okay. I can try again.
Mm-hmm. And literally the next day, I auditioned for like just a community theater show at the Riverside Arts Center there. Got cast in one of the leads. Ended up working with, that theater group, PD the Dog or PTD, who does 4 shows a year. If you're in the Ipsy area, definitely check them out. They always have really great shows.
Okay.
Actually, they're putting on Doubt this weekend and next weekend.
Okay.
So, but and that's been the great thing, is just getting my foot in the door there, start doing it again. I started meeting these people, making connections and having fun and shaking the rust off. And then one person's been like, hey, I know this goofy guy who'd be great for this. And that led to one thing. And I can literally trace all the bigger film stuff I'm doing now to the worst community theater play I ever did.
Okay.
So
hey,
yeah.
But that, that kind of goes with what we talk about, about the universe whispers and things like that. So sometimes key people are put in certain places at a certain time. So you not getting or getting that, don't call us, we'll call you. You knew the position, but you took the first step to get back into it. And that was the most important part. And at that moment, it didn't really matter where you landed, because, coming back to your hometown, your home base, that's where you were lifted.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that too, even with the stage combat stuff, I had years of martial arts training, but it was one particular martial art. And, I got caught in that egotistical male trap of oh, I know everything about this, I'm the fucking guy. But, it wasn't until I started, and it was in that same play I was talking about there, they needed some fight stuff, and it was stuff I was capable of doing, but they brought someone else in, and that was the first time I was like, oh, there's some tricks to this, and it's different from doing it with another martial artist who knows the exact same moves as you do, who you've been training with for a while, as opposed to okay, how do I do this with a stage partner that I've only worked with for a week or so,
right?
And that was the first kind of okay, I want to learn this. I want to be bad at this and get to be better.
Right.
And that's my instructor in class constantly is hey, if you were already great at this, you wouldn't need to be here. It's okay to try and fail and have struggle with this, because it's, especially the stage combats, it's a lot of times feels like rubbing your stomach, patting your head at the same time while reciting Shakespeare. Sometimes literally,
That would be difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's a lot for your body to ask. It's a lot for your mind to process. So being able to take your time with it, not get too upset when you get it wrong, and also be forgiving and communicative with your partner as well. And the beautiful thing with this group and stage combat in general is we really try to be as inclusive as possible. This isn't stage stunts where it's no, you need to be able to dive through that burning car. Yes. It's no, okay, you're the person who's cast. We need to make that fight around what accommodates you,
right?
What works for your physical attributes, your boundaries, your comfort level,
right? Yeah, because not everybody's willing to dive into through a ring of fire into whatever.
And that too is that's slowly changing. The old mentality of well, you're just an actor, just do it, And when you ask how real is it, it's oh well, what if I just slap my partner because I want it to look real? It's no, that's still assault.
Yes.
I don't care if you're pretending to be somebody else. Now that's, identity theft and assault.
Right. Yeah. No, interesting. Well, yeah, because the realness, because you have to show the physical, because people have that visual. So you see, but it just comes close, or it's a slow motion.
Well,
I'm just thinking of the slap, I guess that's usually
a stage slap's a perfect example though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. We think we see in 3D,
right?
But and we get these clues of what it is, but there's that light of hand of I can lie to you off that. Even more so on camera, because now we're taking a 3D world and you're getting a 2D picture. So if my hand just kind of breaks that line between the camera and your face, you as the viewer have no perspective of how close that really is or not.
Exactly.
And then we have other cues that our brain tells us of oh, did the sound happen at the right time? Are they hurt now? So many times you think you're seeing something.
So it's a lot more they're just playing with your psychological.
And that too, that's been the crazy thing. Going back to when I started my therapy, and we'd bring up things and it was oh, I was talking about that in fight class. It's because you have to understand how people perceive things, how we see things, how we react, how we feel about things that we see.
Yes.
To be able to lie to them that they just saw something that they did.
Well, and that's kind of way because I was just thinking out loud of, and that was my out loud voice that happened. But Alexis, she watches the, Real Housewives, and so you always see I always say everything that they do there is added for dramatic effect, scripted, whatever. So from an insider, is it just for ratings and for just them to? I mean, what's the benefit to look so chaotic on screen like that?
I mean, we're drawn to that. Same thing with like the fight stuff. We wanna. Because this world is a madhouse.
It is.
When we we like to like look at it from a safe space and be like, oh yeah, see, it's crazy,
Right. No,
and two, sometimes like that, it gives us the excuse to like, oh, see, people are so crazy, I don't need to go out there and experience stuff. But, we're kind of drawn to that a little bit, and if it's just a show about everyone getting along, who cares?
Yeah.
If there's no growth, if there's no change, there's no, no stakes, no one cares. Yeah.
Exactly.
For better or for worse.
No, I know. So let's talk about the last couple of years. You've talked about the therapy side, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah.
You've said it out loud a few times, so I want to touch on that. What so you obviously you're dealing with your going through your life with your mom getting sick and getting healthy and getting sick and then getting healthy, so that's kind of a yo-yo in itself. And then acting and martial arts and the massage therapy. And you said you decided only just 2 years ago to go to therapy. What prompted you? What happened, or what took you to that point to go there?
So for a while, it was a realization of like accepting what I was actually going through.
Okay.
Another thing I went through is my little sister had a freak heart attack in my martial arts school, like while I was teaching.
My goodness.
Yeah. And it wasn't like what they call AFib, where it's like, oh, my heart's beating, I think I'm having a heart attack.
Right.
It's VFib, which is commonly referred to as sudden cardiac death syndrome.
Right.
The way I was described is that it looked like that moment when they got unplugged in the Matrix and they just collapsed. That's what happened to my sister.
Okay.
And I was teaching class, so I have some first aid and CPR training. So I was the first responder. I started compressions.
Right.
Had them call 911. And it was rough. It was really like I was writing her eulogy in the ambulance take. I was expecting them to tell her she was dead on arrival. They had to defibrillate her like 8 times while we were in the dojo.
Wow.
And then thank God, of course, she survived.
Okay.
But they had to put her in a medically induced coma for a week to let the inflammation down.
Right.
And during that time, we didn't know what we were getting back, so it was a lot of like sitting, waiting, not knowing. And it took a while for me to realize, like, I knew it messed me up, but I was genuinely suffered PTSD from that.
Oh yeah.
Like, there'd be nights like I would feel like I was right back in that moment,
Right.
And then, so it's like that was something I struggled for a while with. Couple bad relationships, but then around like the 2-year point, I had best friend who was killed in a car accident, and we had been estranged for a while. He had his addiction problems, I had my addiction problems, and it was right at the time I was getting into this acting stuff, and I was like, I want more for my life, and I want more for your life, and I think we together are not that great right now, and actually, like, I was just doing a stage combat workshop on wire work, so like how they make superheroes fly and stuff.
Right.
It was like feeling really great, like, hey, I'm in a good place, I should reach out to Alex soon. And the next day he was hit by a drunk driver riding his bike to his work.
Wow.
And he had just put himself through rehab, like had been clean for about 6 months. I found out at his funeral, like, he'd planned on marrying his fiance. One of the things that motivated him to get into therapy or into rehab and everything was he wanted me to be his best man. knew I was going to say no if he was using it. So
Right.
he did that, and I'm like, yeah. So that messed me up. That whole like missed almost moment. Like I felt robbed by the universe.
Yes.
We were so close to being able to be healthy together.
Yes.
And that really threw me on a loop.
Yes.
And then on top of that, like I was talking to a girl and we both needed each other at the same time, but then ended up she didn't need or want me the way I had hoped,
Right.
And so all that like kind of led to a lot, and was really like, okay, it's time to clear the cobwebs out,
Yeah.
I actually, top of all that, I'm a lucid dreamer. I used to study lucid dreaming for a long time. And I used to have these dreams of like my house expanding and finding all these new things. And they were like connected to my memories and stuff.
Right.
And like, wasn't a recurring dream, but the theme was the same.
Right.
And then eventually one time I walked into this house and it was like, gorgeous house, but it was cluttered with cool stuff, but stuff I didn't need,
Yes.
And I just kept thinking, I'm like, wow, how much better would this space be if it was cleared? I'm like, I don't want any of this except for this little golden statue of Ganesh, the remover of obstacles. And it was from that dream I woke up like I'd thought about therapy and knew I probably should, but that was the time I was actively like, yes, I want to clear that stuff out of my attic.
Right.
Like the space will be more helpful than all those cool memories and all that junk that's being stored in there, So, and it was interesting. Like I got that ball rolling 2 years right around my birthday. And that's when that relationship thing kind of came to a head.
Mm-hmm.
Literally the next day, like a social worker called like, hey, I thought, and I'm like, boy, did you pick the right day to call me?
So that was the universe knocking on the door, probably.
Absolutely. So it kind of like I recognized I needed it before I was like, ooh, something's on the horizon here.
Well, before there's a break.
Yeah.
And because once you have a break or that fracture, then it's really bad at that point, and it's usually more violent, or something happens that you can't reverse, and unfortunate as it might be, but
well, and that too, like I've always said, because I've had friends who left the stage early, let's put it that way, and saw what happened to other people, and I always like, it's always been in the back of my mind as an option, but I didn't want to leave my pain for the people I love.
Well, that's it. You might solve how you feel, but the relief behind is so much more debilitating for so many other people.
So like I was really committed at that time to like make sure, like it kept popping up in my head more and more, and I'm like, I don't like how often this is coming up.
Yes.
Like it's those, intrusive thoughts are intrusive thoughts, but like when they become consistent, like let's talk.
Need to start talking and get these thoughts out in the open, so they're not just telling me what to do.
Yeah, and then even like that was a threat, but more too, I was like realizing more and more that like the past was holding me back from being present, and that's what I wanted more than anything.
Yep.
So, and even in the acting, you got to kind of like, all right, we're at rehearsal. Forget your, so many times I'm coming straight from work. I'm like, okay, we dropped work, Wyatt. Now it's time to be whoever I'm being.
Yeah.
So, and you have to learn how to reset, go back to zero before you can go one way or the other.
Right.
So, and then also to be able to like look at those experiences and take them and help create a new person out of your own experiences without simultaneously, re-traumatizing yourself.
Correct.
That's actually one of my favorite plays I did, that I was nominated for like best actor in the Metro Detroit area. I placed like 4th or 5th in voting, but I played Chief in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Are you familiar with the movie? And
I'm gonna be honest. I don't watch a whole lot of movies.
I watch that one not too long.
I will. I know there are some older ones. There are some classics that I do need to watch.
Yeah. Well, without spoiling it, one is like that character has to make this decision with someone who they love is no longer who they were. And okay, do we leave them in that state or do we fly the cuckoo's nest?
Yeah.
You know? And when my sister was in the hospital, not knowing if she was brain dead or not, like I really was like, come on back, because I'm not leaving you there. Like, and so, but doing that play got me to, or helped me revisit those emotions, deal with those thoughts and emotions, and also like go beyond what it was. So it helped take some of the power out of it, I suppose, and also like find the affirmation in it, you know?
Yes.
One Flew of the Cuckoo's Nest was actually like, it's one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite books, but my father introduced it to me when I was like 13, 14. Okay. And that was another one of like, really like, oh, you don't hold yourself back, you know? And that's Chief's character in the insane asylum, pretending to be deaf and mute, but he's really aware of everything.
Okay.
That's the one spoiler, but in the book, it mentions that right from the beginning. You're told.
It won't spoil it because when it's not that I don't enjoy movies. It's the time.
I hear you.
It's because I always find it, and it's not a waste, but to me, I always find that I could be doing something other than spending that time watching the movie. So I'm more music because music I can take anywhere with me.
No, I've leaned that more when I come home now too, of just like putting on music or putting one of those like YouTube screensaver things on my TV. So it's like, it's got a nice background, some music, and I can like, okay, have the entertainment, but still get things done. I understand. No, I totally do.
But I do have, I'm a fan of Shawshank and Tombstone and the rom-com French Kiss, if you've not seen that. That's Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline. Oh, it's a good one. I like that one. So that's one of my favorite ones, I would say. Cheesy, romance.
Well, see how surprisingly for an actor, I'm surprisingly like, I have my movies that I love and I would watch religiously. And if you're my friend long enough, you're going to watch them.
Oh, I know Tombstone, like word for word. Nice. I can sit there and like say every line as it's spit out. So yeah.
Yeah. But now I like a buddy of mine who's a director can name like every director, every movie. No, just like,
can't go there.
I don't even know who you like, and even like some big movies that I should know that I'm just like, no, I actually have never watched that.
Yeah. No, and I've I go and I've seen several. I think in the 18 years that my mister and I have been together, I think I've been to the movies 3 times with him. It's just because, again, it's the time. It's
Oh yeah, totally.
That's how it is. So, what have you learned most about yourself once you went to therapy?
I don't. That I was already all saying.
I love that.
But it was really validating. It helped remind me like, no, I've always been a pretty cool dude. And it's like, yeah, so this thing's you didn't always show up as your best self, but you did the best you could at that time. And then also like went to talk to her about some of the stuff I went through, and like, even that girl let me down, she was just like, oh well, I was like,
and that's because once you come to grips with certain things, or I'm pretty cool, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're like, well, yeah. If somebody gets mad and says, well, I hate you or I don't like you, and I'm like, well, I'm sorry, that's your loss. Yeah, I'm pretty cool.
Well, and I was I was meditating on this today, and I figured I'd probably touch on it at some point. But even when I started therapy, like, and after that situationship didn't work out, I made the decision that like I'm gonna date myself for a little while. And I wrote in my journal today about it. Like, we always talk about self-love.
Yes.
And like, and I always felt that because I was always confident, and I was not much has changed. Like, oh, I'm pretty cool. Like, yeah, I'm a martial artist actor. Like, this has been me for a long time.
Yeah, that's good.
Genuine.
I like it.
But, I also kind of realized like, wow, that blind self-love is also kind of toxic. And it's like, that's what's keeping me away from. Or now I'm like today looking back at it like, oh, that's why I wasn't making connections. I was, expecting them to fawn over me just as much as I was, even though I wasn't looking at my flaws and things I could do right. And so like when I said I was dating myself, like, yeah, there was the nice dinners and going out to theater and massaging my feet at night and, words of affirmations, but also like, honoring my emotions, respecting my own boundaries, listening to my complaints, being truthful to myself, and like when both, and being compassionate when I messed up with myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, so really, like, I'm building this relationship of trust and, respect for myself.
Right.
And once I felt firm and secure in that, now I know what I expect from other people, what I want from other people, because I've had that talk with me. I won't accept it. Like, and that was, I was thinking, like, I talk to myself, like, how I want to treat my future partner.
Yes.
Or how I want my future partner to treat me.
Yes.
And when I mess up, are they understanding? They know I'm not perfect, but at the same time, like, using that wrong as a chance to be closer and, respecting that.
Yes.
And I, like, again, I was literally meditating on this today and really kind of felt that, like, wow, I do feel that I've gained my trust back. And even if, the people I want love from, and I've built really great friendships and great relationships over the last couple of years.
Right.
Even after that situationship, I was like, I need a good group of guy friends. And I've invited like 4 guys that we were in the periphery of each other's lives. Like, hey, let's have brunch. Let's have a bros brunch, And so all those relationships have kind of spiraled out.
Nice.
And I don't need any one of them to meet all my needs. And I can't meet all my needs, but I have some people that can meet that need, some people that can meet this need.
Right.
And whether that love's returned or whether they stick around, my love for me is always here, and it's going to continue to guide and shade what I will allow back into my life from anybody,
Well, yeah. And you need that support system. It's that, I always call it's the human ecosystem or ecosystem. Because we're all connected. So sometimes we help each other by support or strength, or just somebody we can lean on or talk to or just hang out with and don't have to say much, play video games with. Sometimes it doesn't matter. So
well, we're social creatures, and that's I hate this certain political state of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I can do it all on my own. Like, that's not how we got here.
No.
Another fun fact about my life. There was a while I used to help take care of a pack of wolves.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just met a Native American woman in my massage school. She had some health issues, and I'd kind of already ingratiated myself with the wolf pack, so I ended up like helping to take care of them.
Nice. Now, that was local?
I was like in the area. Yeah, I'd rather not.
Well, yeah, just local.
Yeah, it was close enough. So, that was one of the coolest times of my life. Get to like hang out with a pack of wolves.
Oh yes, I have a Carolina dog, and they're I didn't get a bougie dog. And I wouldn't even really call him a bougie dog. He's not like, but he was the most expensive dog that I'd ever gotten. But we've gotten some great friendships because of him, so he was born on the day of my mom's death date. So he's a synchronicity for me.
Okay, cool.
But Carolina dogs are known, they were domesticated in the 1970s by, Dr. Brisbane, and they run wild, but they're dated back to have crossed the Bering Straits about 15,000 years ago. So they're one of the original like North American dogs, and they still run wild. And my Bonte, who you can see, he's kind of over on the table there, the ginger looking one. But they have fox-like attributes, kind of look like little coyotes, about 50 pounds.
Gotcha.
And, but his grandparents were wild, and his mother was, both parents were firstborn from wild dogs. And so they had he has these clean, histories of genetics. And, so it's like, I'm always fearful about vaccinations and stuff for him as a wild beast that never had a vaccination out there. So what do we do? Right. So just trying to learn the different things, but the purpose was because they don't have a predisposition for cancer or hip dysplasia or anything, and I was tired of losing dogs to cancer and things like that. So that's the only reason why I ended up with him. But, so just the history of the wolves, that would be just, you learn so much when you dive into something like that.
Absolutely. Well, and like, I still constantly think about it. Like, all of this wouldn't have been really possible if we hadn't made that connection with the wolves.
Right.
The dogs that are the wolves that stayed close for the fire and scaring everything else off. That made agriculture possible. And we're both pack animals. We need that pack. We need a pack so much that we've made a pack with another animal.
Yeah.
And multiple other ones in other ways. But, it really is a testament to like how much we need each other. And again, that idea of like, the lone wolf, like those die in the cold. Either they find a new mate, they start a new pack, or they come back when there's more food for everybody.
Yes.
But that like I can do it all on my own mentality is a absolute fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute fantasy. And and that too, like I knew that, but therapy like made me understand that. And also like, okay, I can't meet all my needs on my own, but let me check off the checklist of needs I can. Okay, who can I reach out to help meet this need? And that helps kind of just balance this whole system,
right.
Yeah.
Definitely. So where do you see the future, Wyatt, after going through this and understanding yourself better and with everything? Where do you see yourself?
I'm curious about that. Like, I'd love for this acting thing to take off for me and to do a couple big movies or some sitcom, and that goes into, perpetuity. So I'm always getting a residual check,
right.
And then I can just disappear and only work when I want to. But again, that's a fantasy. Again, that like I can go off into the woods and be alone and
with the wolves.
With the wolves, which I mean, worst comes to worst, I may just flee off into the woods with the wolves someday and become a local cryptid. I don't know.
Right.
But, like if that ever happens with the acting, cool, great.
Yes.
But right now I'm working a decent enough job and I'm keeping a roof over my head and I have time to like do my art and my passion. And so it's like, I've made it already in my mind.
Right.
Would I like to be in a more financially sound position? Absolutely.
I think we're all that way.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is just, I've been asked this question, and it's, if you didn't have to worry about money, what would you do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, and it's not to be rich, it's for security. If everything was taken care of and I didn't have to worry about that thing, that made me have a car and put a roof over my head and everything else, this is all I would do. I just, connect people.
Doing the acting and then maybe disappearing up into the mountains to do Tai Chi and like meditation stuff and then come back and do the act. And it's like, so sort of having to have a job to pay the bills. I am doing that.
Yeah.
So.
As we as we all are. Now, so the most recent project is then the Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's the most recent and the biggest one right now. It was Power Rangers Beast Hunters by Zenith Media Films or Films Media. I'm sorry, guys.
They'll forgive you.
Yeah. So this is their third season of doing it.
Okay.
And now, like with even the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, all the stuff of them morphed was old Japanese footage.
Okay.
Different Japanese TV show, Super Sentai, that's been running since like the 70s.
Okay.
Like all the monster fights feel very Godzilla-y and stuff because they are of the exact same vein.
Okay.
But now there's years and seasons of that show that'll never be brought over to America.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this group's doing, has been adapting those. So we do our plain clothes. I'm the Ranger. Once we morph, it's that footage, but now I'm doing the voiceover for that character.
Okay.
And so, like, yeah, we've done, the first episode's been out since November. We hit over 500,000 views like beginning of this year.
Oh, nice.
So hands down, this is the biggest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Heck, just in November, we were down at a Power Rangers convention promoting it. People watched it. By the end of the week, I was signing autographs and like being a celebrity.
Nice.
So that was really cool.
That is fun.
Yeah, super fun. But yeah, I play Rowan, the Orange Ranger. So this little guy right there.
Okay.
And who's like the leader of the team, but ends up like losing his powers at the first episode and giving them to the next guy who becomes the new Red Ranger, who's the leader and stuff. So but yeah, I play one of the Rangers, but I also did the fight choreography. I was the stunt director for that.
Okay.
Two of my best friends who had done the previous seasons brought me into it. Nice. We were all supposed to do it together, but schedules and directorial bumping heads,
right?
And, production drama, they kind of went their own way for a while. But 2 of the last days on set, they were able to come and help out, and it was me and my 2 best friends putting on these fights, and it went so smooth, and it was really cool. But yeah, next episode 2 should be coming out sometime this month. Perfect. I don't know the exact date. We'll have 4 episodes in total. They're already got funded for the next season. They want to bring me back for the fight choreography for that. I'm still a little on that, but now it's how much they're going to pay me. That's the real question.
Absolutely. Now, how does the listening audience find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, Woodside Warrior. And then that'd probably be the best way to reach out to me. I have my Facebook, but I try to keep that a little more personal. Like I said, you can find Power Rangers, Beast Hunters, Xena Films. Look them up. Yeah, that'd be the best 2 ways to really find that.
Okay. And then one of the last questions we always ask all of our guests is Wyatt, what would your anthem be?
You messed that at the beginning, and it's like there's so many songs that like mean so much to me in different times of my life. I had some down moments, and I went back to Third Eye Blind, who has been like a constant like band for me. Like Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind was a huge song for me. I saw them in concert over here at Eastern when I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
Had to meet them in Smash Mouth, like quintessential 90s kid thing. Like, so yes, Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Life, Frontier Psychiatrist by the Avalanches. Because that fits, because one of the main lines in that is the boy needs therapy, so that fits with our thing for today.
Yes.
And it's fun because I always make playlists for all my characters I play, so kind of going through what would be a good one. I'll skip that. But then one that
you can see you going down your playlist. As your mental playlist. It's
the way I get into character. Like I pick songs that are ironically on theme, or put me in that mindset of that character. What songs that character would like just to get me hyped.
Right.
There's oh gosh. I'll have to send you it. There's this jazz song that pops up in my life. One time I was doing a show and they had an afterglow afterwards. And I was talking to this girl, and I walked out there, and they had a band playing this jazz song that was already like, and it was just kind of like, oh, yeah, this is a good moment in my life. And we danced, and we ate, and we drank.
Nice.
It keeps popping up at really cool moments in my life.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Scarsboro. I'll have to look it up on my playlist again.
Okay.
But I'll send you like a link or something to that. And then there's this other choir song, Butterfly. And it's the life of this butterfly. I was just listening to it the other day. I shared it with Mari because we lost someone together, and that's kind of what brought us together. But it's all about how it follows. It's this a cappella song of the life of a butterfly, and how it's like it's never seen this world before, but knows it's not going to last long. Love me today, kind of a thing. And it's this beautiful, like I say, some are doing just the flaps of the butterfly wings, and the rays of the sun a cappella, and then listening to that life fade and pass. And it's a really beautiful song, and like I've come back to it a lot this last week too. So it's a really good one. I'll have to give you the proper name of it, or the.
Yes, no, and we'll add all of those to the playlist. I know they just announced 3 Doors Down
Yeah, I
tears
saw that. Yeah,
of cancer. So he and I are the same age. So it's like, it kind of makes it like, oh gosh, when people start dying when they're your age, it's a little bit different too.
yeah. Before I go though, can I get one cool full circle moment of that Power
Absolutely.
Rangers thing? So I told you I got started in all of this because I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
Got to be Orange Power Ranger. Michelangelo was the orange one. We were at this Power Rangers convention and they had all the original voice actors of the Ninja Turtles there.
Okay.
So I got to meet all of them, but I've always had, I wish I had my keys with me, but I always had Michelangelo keychain on.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the swag also with the sticker is they made keychains of all of our Rangers, our like little cartoon version of me in my street clothes and the cartoon version in the Rangers. So as I met him, I gave him my keychain. So now I have a Michelangelo keychain and Michelangelo has a Wyatt keychain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's nice.
Yeah, so it was this real full circle moment. I got to tell him like I'm here doing martial art, signing autographs because of you. And he was such a gracious, cool guy. So that was like a real like moment of validation and like really like, wow, I've come really far.
Yeah.
And put it in perspective of, yeah, I just wanted to be a little guy, be a Ninja Turtle, and now I, third-degree black belt, eat pizza all the time, skateboard, always Ranger, like
that's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm not.
I mean, you're living your best life.
As best as I can.
Yes, there's ups and downs. Yes, there's hiccups. Yes, there's there's things that happen, but it doesn't mean it's going to hold you back from being able to live.
Well, I'll end on this, like, I say like all the world's a stage.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine once said, like, doing a show is kind of like preparing for death. And at first I'd scoffed, but it's like, you have these moments. You have just this time to connect and say your lines and do it the best you can.
Yeah.
And some nights it's great, some nights it's not. But then when it's done, it all gets washed away, and all that's left is the people who saw it and were impacted by it.
Yes.
I hope there's a big after party in the green room in the sky, but if not, I want to be as present and, have as much fun with everyone I share the stage with as possible. So
gosh, I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't make me cry on it. I've escaped this episode without crying or even tearing up. So thank you.
Close there for a minute.
Yes. No, thank you. I mean, well, hearing about your sister, that right there, that throws just a whole loop and things, because when you're the responder, you see what happened.
Yeah.
That
it was really hard, and that was my mom was like, well, yeah, she's your sister and you love her, but that's my baby. And I'm like, well, you weren't there for all of it, like, and I was.
It's and there, the adrenaline, and then coming down from that, and then reliving it and reliving it and reliving it and reliving it.
I was trying to say, it's like, well, part of me had to be like, this is go time, I gotta be, and then there was part of me freaking out, and I was like, you get in the corner,
yes,
we've got work to do. And there's still part of my brain in the corner that like spasms every once in a while.
Yeah.
And like, I gotta still be like, no,
take a breath.
Okay. We made it through that. It's okay. And it's okay that you still hurts. You know?
And you're here today, and
she's here today.
She's here, and everything, moving forward. So beautiful.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, well, get each other for long as we can. And she was a good example of how quick that
things
can
change.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a good one. Things could happen and change in a snap, just like that. So
all the more reason to be present.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you again for joining us on this week's episode of Life Between Coasts. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to grow our community of listeners. We'd like to thank Wyatt again for joining us today.
Thanks for having it. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And we hope you have a great week. And until then, bye-bye.